welcome to a homespun house. I have been having so much fun knitting and just doing a lot of fun crafts this week. So grab your favorite cup of choice, your favorite beverage. Coffee, mine is definitely a chai tea. I ended up getting more of my favorite. Here, I have my teapot. I've had people ask me about if I use a teapot, and I definitely do. I have this one. It's a smaller one. It was Robert's grandmother's, and I'm drinking... I talked about this, the Indian chai tea. But anyway, yeah, so I have my little teapot out. I have a bigger one, but that's for maybe when there's more company over. I had my midwife over today, which I have two midwives, and I was meeting the second one. I had already seen my first one, I think 3 times, and I was meeting the second one today, which was a bit nerve-wracking because it's Friday the 13th, and I thought, oh my goodness, I hope it is not some terrible sign that it's going to just go over terribly. But it was fantastic. It went perfect. I loved her. I kind of would like her to be my main midwife, so I'm trying to think about how I go about telling my normal midwife that I want this other one to be the main midwife. Yeah, so grab your favorite beverage, your knitting, your crochet, your cross stitch, whatever you're doing. Just sit back and relax if you don't feel like working on anything. And let's see what I've been up to this week. So tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And we'll celebrate by giving, a couple of gifts and doing some fun things together. Robert and I won't do anything crazy because we have Elodie during the day, but it's just a day for us to do some nice things together as a family, of course. It's not this big romantic holiday for us. So for Elodie, we have a pretty necklace and bracelet, and I've made her this crown. So, oh goodness, I cannot even remember what pattern I used. I used Lion brand pattern, but I didn't follow the pattern at all is the problem. You can look at my pattern pages because I completely improvised the pattern, really. I cast on a completely different number of stitches. I knit the crown tips differently. So it's a felted crown, and this is how it looks. This evening, because Valentine's Day is tomorrow, I need to get it finished. So this evening, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go ahead. I thought about putting her name on there. I don't know if I'll do that. But I'm definitely wanting to embroider some pretty flowers or put some pretty buttons. I haven't decided yet. I want to do something on each of the pretty tips. So then what I will do is I'm going to sew some Velcro onto this side, and then I won't put any Velcro on the other side because the felt is already sticky enough that I know it will just stick there, and then it can just be adjustable as her head grows and fit for a long time. And if the Velcro gets old, it's easy to take off and sew new Velcro on. So that was a really, really super fun knit. I knit this in Cascade 220. I knit it in a pink, and I didn't have enough of the pink, so I grabbed a natural color. This is so funny because this is yarn I must have purchased when I was 16 years old, when I was working in one of the yarn stores that I worked in. And I don't even remember what I bought it for. I think I was knitting a backpack or something. I think I was knitting the backpack from Stitch and Bitch Nation. It's like a pink backpack, and then there are hearts, intarsia hearts on the backpack. But anyway, I had a little bit left, and I held it double. The pattern as well doesn't call for holding it double. I wanted it to be nice and thick. I can't imagine the thin product this would have created had I not doubled the yarn. So, and then I just doubled it with a natural. I didn't want to over felt it, so you can still see the garter stitch, which is fine. I didn't want it to be too small. And yeah, I really love the way it turned out. I'm curious what Elodie will think of it when she sees it. It's pink, of course, so I know she's going to be a fan of that. So she'll get some nice little sweets for Valentine's Day, and her necklace, and then her pretty little crown for Robert for Valentine's Day. I was talking to Kristen, and she, as a lot of you probably have seen on her podcast, she is knitting these socks for Dennis, which I think is just unbelievable. Granted, he has size 9 feet, but size 9 male feet, but still, I mean, in a week to rip out a pair of male socks, I think is quite a hefty task. And I am just in shock of her for progressing the way that she has been progressing on these socks. If she finishes them by Saturday, I will be extremely impressed, Kristen. But Robert really only has one hat that I've been knitting, that I knit him. And that is the sockhead hat, I think is what it's called. The red one that I knit out of the red Regia tweed. And he wears that a lot. It's the one that he wears every day, all of the time. And he's kind of said, you know, he would like a little bit thicker of a hat. He would like more hats from me. So, yeah. So he has a hat that I knit him in Christmas, I think, of 2013. And I knit it out of a cashmere Angora blend. I think it was maybe 50-50 or 40-60. And it really, really stretched because of the Angora. And so I told him that I would, you know, reknit him the same hat shortly after Christmas, because I think he maybe only wore it for a week or two before it was too big. So then it just stayed in my gift box. And I never ripped it out until the beginning of this week. I thought, I really want to give him something for Valentine's Day. And I have 2 fantastic ideas of things that I'm giving him, and I'm really, really, really excited about them. So the first thing is, I think it's called the Classic Cuffed Hat by Pearl Soho. It's a free pattern, and I had, seriously you guys, the most ridiculous time. I'm going to try and knit this while I'm talking to you guys, because it's just stockinette stitch, but I had the most ridiculous time trying to get gauge for this pattern. It was so unbelievable. So I think it tells you to cast on 88 stitches on a size. You do a tubular cast on first of all, which I didn't do because my long tail cast on is definitely stretchy enough. It's something that I've never had a problem with being too tight. So I did my normal long tail cast on, and I think I cast it on a pair of size 6 needles, 88. No way was that working. It was huge. So I knit the entire rib. It's 4 inches, but I think I actually knit 3. And then I ripped it out. Then I thought, okay, I'm just going to try 80 stitches, the child's size hat. So I tried that on a size, the same size of needles, the US 6, which I think is a 4.75 maybe. No, it's got to be a 4.25 millimeter needle. And it was still way too big. It was too big for me. Much too big for me. His head is obviously a bit bigger than mine, but not much. It's maybe an inch and a half larger. And we don't have big heads, so so then I grabbed a size US 5 needle, which I think is 3. I have it right. Oh no, that's the 6. I must be knitting on a size US 6 needle. No, I went up a size for the stockinette. Yeah, I think it's a 3.75. I'm knitting these on clover, which is crazy. I have not knit with these needles in forever, but I don't have any 16-inch 40 or 41 centimeter needles. So for hat knitting, and as Danny from the Little Bobbins Knits podcast talked about, it is not fun knitting magic loop on hats. It's just something I don't enjoy. I don't know, it just seems too fiddly kind of. So I decided I'd try these. It's a really, really easy hat. Like I said, it's ribbing and stockinette stitch, so I thought I don't need something really pointy or any sort of specific needle. And I like the clover bamboos. I think they're nice, inexpensive needles. So then anyway, I decided to go for the size 5. I knit the size 5 88. Why? I don't know. I maybe only knit 2 inches of that. I ripped it out again. So this is the 3rd time I've knit this hat. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to try this one last time today. And this was the 2nd day that I was working on it. And then I'm just going to have to put it down and work on it again tomorrow. So I tried the size US 5, which I think is a 3.75 needle, 80 stitches, and that's where I'm at right now. And it fits me, but it's a teeny bit loose, which makes me a little bit nervous that it's really going to stretch. Again, when he wears it, I don't want to rip it back again. I'm not going to. Let me show you how much I've got on here. So this is the ribbing. It's the softest, just such a nice, luxurious, warm hat. And this is how much it kind of stretches out to. So it's a little bit scary. I hope it fits. And it's a really, really cool hat. It's one that I definitely want to knit for myself because it has a big, big pom-pom on the top. And I think it just looks so cool. I don't know what color I'll do the pom-pom because I definitely do not have enough of this yarn to do a big pom-pom at the top. So I thought I would either do it probably in a gray. I think I will just end up going for a gray. I think will look nice. So I'm enjoying working on that. I really want to start knitting more hats because I just have one hat for myself. It's the red one. I can't remember what it's called, which is a really big pity. It was designed by Nicole Clark, and it's one that I knit a long time ago, over a year ago, definitely. And I really like it. I wear it quite a bit, but because of the lace, it does get a little bit cold. Because it's knit on larger needles, I think maybe a size 4 millimeter or a US 6 about. And so those little Fair Isle, those little yarn overs get to be a little bit larger. So I really want to knit another hat for myself. And I went to the yarn shop here, Loop Yarn Shop, which is, for those of you who live in Berlin, I know Lottie asked about this, or Lotta, you asked about this. I really like Loop Yarn Shop. It's Prenzlauer Allee, Marienburger Straße, kind of on the other side. You walk past a shoe store and a couple cafes, and then it's really close off of Prenzlauer Allee. And they have, it's quite small. They have a lot of sock yarn. They have some tweed yarns. They have Regia. They have Lang. Just, really the standard brands that Germany kind of has in a lot of their wool shops. But I like it. The people there are generally nice. Something that I think is really, really sad about Berlin is there aren't a lot of yarn shops that you can go and sit in. I think that that's something that they are really missing, is a yarn shop that has a lot of community, where you can go in and you can sit with your yarn and you can buy yarn and you can have some coffee and just relax and knit with other knitters and have nights where knitters are, like sock nights. Everyone comes in and they just work on their socks, and everyone comes in, and I feel like the yarn shop that I worked for when I worked in America was amazing. It had the most wonderful community of knitters. Every night there were, most of the nights there were different classes. Every night there was some sort of get together for, knitting on certain things. Once or twice a month there were movie nights where they would open the shop late and the knitters would just come and hang out and watch a movie together, until late in the night, and then just hang out, which I thought was really, really special. And it's definitely, like I said, something that I miss, and I really wish that there was something nearby. But anyway, so I went there and I found a tweed yarn, kind of a really sky blue colorway. I've really been into blues lately. Pink is definitely my favorite, but they did not have a nice pink tweed yarn at all. They had a really, really bright magenta, kind of, no, fuchsia almost, neon-y pink. And I really liked the blue one. I thought about getting it. I would have needed 2 skeins and it would have just cost me 12 euro. So not that bad at all. And I didn't get it. I originally went in to look for some tweed yarn for Robert for a hat, but I didn't find any that I thought he would like. So that's when I decided to rip out this hat finally. And I'm pretty sure that next week, I have fiber in my mouth, I will go back and get that yarn and cast on the same exact hat for myself, because I really like kind of the vintage, yummy, the vintage vibe of the hat, and just how classic it is and just how versatile it really is. I just think it's a really, really cool looking hat. So I want to knit the same exact hat for myself, and I hope that I don't have the same gauge problems. I don't think I will, because it's a 100% wool, so it's not as drapey as the Angora in this yarn. So I have to finish this hat today. I am positive I will. Hats don't take long at all, and I'm really enjoying knitting with this yarn. It's so soft. It's creating such a nice halo to the yarn, and I just think it will be a gorgeous hat. And I wonder what he will think of it with the pom-pom at the top. So the other thing, Robert is home right now and he is in the bedroom doing some work. And the other gift he doesn't even know is in there. I don't want to talk too loud because the room is right there. You know, there's one door closed in between us. And so Elodie, I had her paint on some fabric, and quite a big piece of fabric. Robert always carries a tote bag around. He's an actor, so he has a bag from Schaubühne that he carries around, which is a really popular theater. Lars Eidinger is playing there all the time, and he is kind of the best theater actor of this time. And so he has a tote bag that he's been carrying around all the time for 2 years maybe. And he's been kind of hinting at me that I should make him a tote bag. And I made him one. This was like the Christmas of gifts gone wrong. I made him one for Christmas in 2013, the same time I gave him this hat. And it came out kind of terribly. It ended up looking quite feminine, and he never uses it. It still hangs on the on our bag rack, kind of. And no one uses it, actually. I don't use it, he doesn't use it. I should probably just throw it away, which sounds terrible, but I think that's what needs to happen with this bag. So anyway, I had Elodie paint on some fabric, really cutely, in his favorite colors. So in a really muddy brown, in 2 different shades of blue, and then red. So I would go in and get it, but I don't, he doesn't even know it's in there. So it was just kind of laying on the top of my big shelf and drying, and it's definitely dry now. I will sew it up today, and I will use it for the pocket on the outside of the fabric. And I will definitely show that to you guys next week. So it's just going to be a standard tote with a big pocket on the outside, and will be made in my normal kind of as well muddy brown, tan, beige, whatever you want to call the color, linen fabric that I use for the inside, and also the contrast on a lot of my bags. It's just a really nice sturdy fabric, and I'll go ahead and line that like I do with my bags. So I think he will love it along with the hat, and I know he will be shocked. I know he will be completely surprised. We usually gift each other, you know, something small for Valentine's Day, but I feel like this is kind of a really special gift. And so Elodie drew some fun things. Lately she's really into drawing slides, rutsche, for those of you who don't know what that is. You know, that you go on in the playground. She loves to draw clouds, and she drew a what did she say? Ein Liebeskrokodil. So a really nice crocodile. And then she just kind of free-formed a bunch of other random shapes, and then I wrote underneath what they were. So ein liebes Krokodil, eine Wolke, and eine Rutsche, I wrote. So it's really neat. It's really, really neat and fun looking, and I know that he will proudly use this bag. So I'm excited. I will work on it as soon as I finish podcasting today. So those are kind of my two goals for the day today. I don't think I'll do much work, which is totally fine. I've been really busy updating the shop this week, so I really want to focus it on finishing up Valentine's Day gifts. I'm usually not so last minute, but these ideas just came this week, and I'm grateful for them. I'm really happy to gift really fun things. So I'm going to put this away so that I can show you guys some other things. I have this in my Mama Deer and the Fawn project bag, which I love. And let's see, I guess I can just kind of go down the line of what's on my table. So the next thing that I have in my Catching Fireflies bag, I don't have any more of these bags in the shop. I've ordered some new fabric in a bluish teal color, so there will be more Catching Fireflies. I've done a little bit of work on my Pepita. You can see I can stockinette stitch on this. I can stockinette knit on this because it's the same thing. So this is a pattern by Martina Behm, and I talked about it before, so I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it's just a jumper kind of for a baby. So I'm knitting it in Wollmeise, and it is very bright and colorful. These will be buttoned together at the top, and then this is sort of the belly, and then it will go down into 2 legs and then 2 socks. So it's a complete, warm, nice jumper for the baby. That's something that is pretty slow going, but it's enjoyable. It feels, something I want to say is working on that hat. Oh my goodness, I think that was on a size US 9 needle or something. That was just ridiculous. Those needles felt humongous. And knitting on that hat, I'm always generally knitting on size 2 millimeter, 2.5 millimeter, 4 millimeter at the largest for a shawl, for example. And even a lot of my garments, like the featherweight, I'm knitting on a 3.5 millimeter. This is a 2 millimeter for my Pepita. And these feel really small. I think it's because I haven't been working on a small project this week. I worked on this pretty much quickly after my last podcast last week, so this one hasn't been a main project this week. And like I said, I've only worked this much of it. That's my apple progress keeper, or you can use it as a zipper pull. I sell them in the shop, not just apples, different ones. And I'm really liking the way that this is knitting up with the Wollmeise. Again, I'm curious to see how it will be once it is washed, because as I've heard, it softens up, and I'm excited to use my my Tuft Woolens new soaps. So the next thing that I am working on is my new pair of socks. I've been on such a sock kick. And I'm knitting these out of Lene yarn, Evil Ocean colorway. It's a sparkle base, the same exact yarn I knit my Whipper wool with, which I later gifted to Melinda from the Yarnder Woman podcast, which is a lovely podcast. And I have a sock finished. So here it is. I've done the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, and I really like it. This is a yarn that I just felt wasn't my style. I'm not even sure why I purchased the yarn in the first place. I liked it on the webpage when I got it. Like, I wasn't too into this aqua color. I felt like it didn't really mesh with the yarn so much, but I think as socks, it meshes so much nicer. And that's why I gifted the shawl to Melinda, because I just felt like it wasn't my colors really. And Melinda is always wearing these reds and browns and blacks and grays, and I hope she likes blue. I hope you like the shawl, Melinda. And I really like it now. I really like it as a sock, and the shawl looks gorgeous on her. She's worn it. I've seen her wear it before. So I've started the second sock, and I just have, about 4 rows of the cuff. I'm knitting this on my Carbon's double points, my absolute favorite sock needles. And I want to get another pair because I desperately want to have 2 socks on the needles at a time. I kind of would like, you guys are going to laugh at me. I would like to have one standard Molly pair and then a textured pair, because Danny from the Little Bobbins podcast, she is always knitting the most gorgeous socks, and I'm always inspired by the socks that she is knitting, and I'm always inspired by everything that she is making for her mom. Danny, you are like, you're always making your mom things, and I feel like it is so nice, and it really inspires me to knit for my mom. And I have just been thinking about things that I can knit for my mom lately. I just think it's the sweetest, most wonderful thing that you're always really knitting something for you and knitting something for your mom. And then when you finish something for your mom or something for you, you start something again for yourself or for your mom. Speaking of Danny, she made the most hilariously, it's not even hilarious, it's just adorable Hexie Puff tea cozy. I didn't make a Hexie Puff tea cozy, but I started a long time ago making a Hexie Puff blanket, and I stopped. It was something that I knew I was never going to finish. I didn't love the way that it looked, and these were in the same bag as Tuft Woolens. So I decided to make a cushion with it for Elodie's chair. This cushion has been going on forever. I probably sew every 2 months or so. I decide I want to sew a few Hexie Puffs on, and I do. So I think I sewed maybe 4 on, and I have enough for 1 cushion. So it will be a cushion that goes on the chair that she eats at. So that's the slow progress of my Hexie Puff blanket. I've probably sewn 4 of them on since we last talked. Something that is really nice to finally have back on my needles, because I have really been itching and aching to work on a shawl. I have my shawl design, which I will talk about in a little bit, after this one actually, but is the Hayward shawl by Susan B. Anderson, a pattern put out with a kit by Infinite Twist. And I have been knitting mine in the Laurel colorway, so this is Infinite Twist, and it's 100% wool, and the Laurel colorway looks like this. A really, really pretty shade of green. And I stopped knitting this for a while because I was very frustrated with the lace. It's such an easy lace pattern, which just makes it even more ridiculous that I couldn't get it right. So I stopped knitting on it for quite a long time. And then I had been watching Danny of the Little Bobbins Knits and had been seeing her working on shawls, and I thought, you know what, I'm having a stop with my shawl design. I'm having a little bit of a block, and I really want to work on a shawl. I don't want to cast on a new one. I'm already working on the Hayward, so I knitted back. And I thought, I'm not going to be smarter than this pattern and not put stitch markers like I did before. I'm going to do as Susan suggests. I'm going to put the stitch markers every so many stitches and just do it. I did. I didn't have one problem. I didn't have one problem with the shawl. It went by perfectly smooth sailing. So I knit quite a bit on this pattern. So this is, it's hard to see because it's a bit, you know, pushed up on the needles, but it is a very textured sort of pattern, and it will obviously look much nicer once it's blocked out. So I really, really like the way it's knitting up. And I know this is going to be a very warm, cozy shawl. And it uses about 600 yards of yarn, which I love because I really adore those big, comfy, cozy shawls. And it's such a different technique for shawl knitting than I've ever done. You change your needle size 3 times in the shawl pattern, which to me was a bit crazy at first. I didn't see how it could work, but as I'm knitting it, I'm hoping it will work. Now that I'm onto the larger needles, the 5mm, I'm knitting these with my Marbles needles by Knit Pro. And I really, really love these needles for lace because they're definitely pointier than the Carbons. So I like knitting with them. They're very, very smooth, and I don't have any problem with the join. So yes, so I completely ripped all of this out. I re-knit all of the lace, and now I'm on to the stockinette section, and I will be working that I would say for about maybe this much longer, maybe 5 more inches, 12 more centimeters or so. And yeah, so right now it's just really smooth sailing with the pattern. I just have some increases on each round, and I'm excited to work on this and to get it off my needles. And then I really desperately want to work on the dots shawl. I think that will be the next one that I cast on. An amazing viewer gifted me the pattern, which is so fantastic because I have been wanting to work on this pattern after seeing Kristen's dots shawl, and there are so many birds on our neighbor's balcony right now. they're just staring at me like, what is she doing? And yeah, so I would love to cast that on. Even though Kristen is still thinking about ripping it out, don't do it. I'm gonna cast mine on. We're gonna knit them together, but not for a little while. So that's definitely a shawl I want to knit, and I totally want to do the same sort of style that she has, where it's plain yarn, a pretty glittery yarn in the middle. Absolutely stunning. So this is in my larger bag. You can fit so much stuff in here. So so this is how large it is. I have my shawl with my cake of yarn, and then I have 2 skeins of the Laurel, and then I have, of course, my pattern. And there's still room. There were originally 4 skeins, and that all fit in here, obviously, as you can see, because now the shawl does. And there's room for a little bit more, but I don't need to put more in there because that's all that the pattern requires. On the thought of shawls, I have been working a lot on my shawl design. I hoped that I would have it finished this week, but I had a really big break in it. A lot of my knitting, I feel like lately, has not been on my side. And so I decided that I'm not going to do a Fair Isle shawl. The thoughts that I had just weren't working. I was going to do the Miss Babs Belle and Aubergine colorway. Now I'm just doing the Aubergine, which is, oh, I almost just showed you the shawl. This magnificently beautiful color. I think it is gorgeous. And you can see I've ripped a lot of it out because this doesn't even look like a cake anymore. It looks like a ball. So I decided not to do the Fair Isle. I decided to just knit it in the Aubergine colorway and go ahead and do a textured lace pretty pattern. Completely different than my Whispering Pines. Although the name that I have in mind does start with a W. And so then I knit, oh my goodness, I would say 100 meters worth of a new section of the pattern. I ripped out all of the Fair Isle, of course. And I just looked at it and I was so unsure about it. Even after I knit the first repeat of the pattern, I thought, I don't know if this is really right. But then I thought, no, just keep knitting it until you finish all 3 repeats. And it didn't work. It didn't look that great. I had spent hours and hours knitting and writing each line as I knit. And so it was a bit sad, but I mean, that's totally the process of designing, and sometimes you come across things that you aren't happy with and that you don't like, and that's exactly the way that it was and the way that it happened. So now I'm back to just the first textured section of the pattern, and I'm still thinking about what to do with the next texture, but with the next section. So we'll see. I mean, sometimes these things just take time, and I need to think about it for a while. So which is okay. I would love to get this pattern out to you guys, but I want it to be really organic, nice process. I do, however, have a pattern that's for sale on my webpage, and it is some kind of a baby socks with a matching hat. And it's one that isn't for sale anymore, actually. I've taken it off because I wasn't happy with the way that the pattern looked, and I just wasn't happy with the presentation of the pattern. It's one that I wrote years ago, and I want to rewrite the pattern and get new samples for the pattern. So I have some gorgeous, you guys, this is the first time I've ever even touched skein yarn from Australia. And this is, okay, I am extremely shocked by this yarn because this is her top draw sock yarn. And it is an 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. There are 437 yards or 400 meters in 95 grams. So it's a 4-ply sock yarn, and I have the colors Inkstone, which is a bluish gray. I have Barley, which is a mauvey barley beige natural sort of colorway. Stunning. And then I have Geisha. All of these are in the top draw sock base. So I will be knitting my new pattern with this, and this yarn is so soft. It feels like it has to be an MCN. I've never touched a sock yarn that is just a merino nylon that is this amazing. I feel like you could use this yarn for anything. You could use it for a garment, you could use it for socks, you could use it for mittens, you could use it for a cowl. It's something that feels really wearable for your feet, but it also feels sturdy enough for your feet, but it also feels so soft that you want to have it next to your face. So I feel like, as well, for a baby knit, because I will be designing this pattern for newborns, and then probably 1 year, and then a little bit older. Or yeah, newborns, a year old, and then 2 year or 2 to 3 year or something. Because I will be designing it for that. It's so perfect for babies, because when you think of babies and baby knits, you just want to knit in just nice, soft, cozy, cushy yarn. And I just think it's beautiful, which is why I wanted to design my pattern in this. So I will knit a pair in this color, these colors, and then the next will be in these two together. And I am excited. I am very, very excited about this yarn. And she has so many colorways on her webpage. So many gorgeous, beautiful, tonal, because I love tonal yarn. It's my favorite. I really, really love tonal yarn. So I'm excited to design with that yarn, extremely excited. That just came yesterday, and it was such a thrill to receive and open and touch that yarn, because I've never worked with skein before, and I'm sure that after I knit and design with that yarn, I'm going to need some more because it's fantastic. You all know that I knit some washcloths for my mom for her birthday, and I had talked about the Sugar and Cream yarn, the American yarn brand that my mom loves so much for her washcloths, and how I didn't have any more. I used the final scraps to kind of knit that random garter stitch face cloth. And an amazing viewer wrote me and said, I have some extra skeins I would like to send you, because I'm not doing anything with them and I want you to knit up some washcloths with them. I'm definitely knitting washcloths with these, and they will go into my gift box and probably wait there until Christmas, or maybe I'll even keep one for myself. I've never tried using a hand knit washcloth, so but I can see that my mom would like a lot of them, you know, for using in the bath, ones that she uses on her face. Maybe she decides that she wants a little bit larger one for her body. I don't know. But I love the colors that she chose. The red, the purple, blue, and green. And they're all very jewel toned, which I really appreciate and really, really adore. So these are from Pamela. I hope it's okay that I say your name. I'm not saying your Ravelry name, so I'm not giving a lot away. And then something really, really just an extra special touch that she sent was this skein of yarn. It's from her alpacas, and the alpaca's name is Emma. I imagine because the yarn is called Emma, and it's 110 grams, 100% alpaca, 250 meters. It's funny that it's named Emma because that's Elodie's best friend, as you know. So beautifully spun. I don't know what this will become, but it's very soft. I think it would make some gorgeous mittens, probably. And it would be just enough for my foraging pattern. So we'll have to wait and see what that becomes. It smells really nice. So I'm very excited and grateful for that. I can't wait. I feel like it seems kind of silly to be so excited about knitting washcloths, but really they were so fun to knit for my mom. I had so much fun knitting them, and it will be nice now to know that I have enough of each skein to knit each washcloth, because with the other washcloths I definitely did not feel that way, and I only had enough for one of the washcloths, so that was a little bit of a pity. I didn't work on my Cozy Memories blanket at all this week, which maybe will shock you. But, and I also didn't finish one of my mini skeins. I had the goal to knit one or to spin one each week, but I think I only spun 2 of these little tribbles since I saw you last, or fiber nests, whatever you want to call them. But these fuzzlings are from Deb of Fondant Fiber, and I love them. They are one of my favorite things. I hope you guys are getting ready for our favorite things swap that is coming up. Today is the last day for signups. Tomorrow, you can sign up too. Or no, tomorrow is the last day for signups. I'm closing the thread Sunday morning when I wake up. So that will still be nighttime in America. So some of you may still be awake. So if you want to sign up, make sure you do it in the afternoon tomorrow or today when you come home from work. And then I hope to get your partners sent to you Sunday afternoon, probably evening. I imagine that it will be in the evening. And if not, then Monday morning at the latest, my time. So the favorite thing swap is where we're swapping our favorite things. We're swapping 6 mini skeins of our favorite yarn. Doesn't matter what the recipient's favorite yarn is. You're swapping your favorite yarn that you love. A favorite sweet of yours, chocolate, toffees, caramels, some maybe candy-coated nuts, a favorite sweet of yours. What else are we swapping? Something else that we love. It could be stitch markers, a bar of soap, some wool wash, any little thing, you know. Could even be a project bag. It doesn't have to be so huge though. That's something that you guys can talk about with your partner, and you guys will then go ahead and swap addresses. I'm pairing people with allergies together, people who maybe don't want to ship overseas together. And then in March, which isn't too far away, we're doing our favorite things knit along. So the same sort of deal. You just knit with your favorite yarn, your favorite maybe dyer, you know, yarn from your favorite dyer, your favorite pattern, anything that you can tie into being your favorite. So I am really looking forward to that. I haven't decided what I'm going to knit. It could even be a favorite project that you've started knitting. I mean, it doesn't have to be newly cast on, because I've never followed that guideline. It's something that you could have maybe been working on in the past, and it was a pattern that you loved and you set it down for who knows what reason, but you really want to pick it up again because you know that you will enjoy knitting it again, and that you really want to wear that gorgeous shawl or mittens or socks. But it has to be a favorite. It has to be something that you really love doing or using, your favorite needles. Maybe that's stretching it a bit too far with the needles. But I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. You guys like my little picture? I have to get a frame for this. So this is also from Martha of Tuft Woolens. She takes the most lovely photography. I want to hang this. This was in our bedroom above my craft shelf, but now, now I want to put all my little sheepy photos above my desk. I don't know how much sense that makes because we're moving soon. So I'm going to answer some questions now. Someone wants to ask, so now I'm answering from Heart for Feathers, and she says, how do you and your mom and grandmother keep a close bond with one another? We talk on the phone. We Skype every morning before my mom leaves for work. She sends me a message and says, I'm on my way. You can call me if you want. If the roads are too bad, she will tell me not to call her, and I won't. But if the roads are okay, she'll put her Bluetooth on and I'll talk with her over her speakers. So we talk a lot. My grandma as well, talking on the phone. So does she ever? So let's see. I remember you mentioned you speak both German. Oh no, that's a different question. How do they keep a bond with your daughter? The same thing. Elodie is really close to them just because when we go and visit, they really, really play with her and focus on her. And Elodie, I wouldn't say is so close to my grandmother because she doesn't Skype with her or she doesn't see them and talk with them as much as my mom, but she definitely Skypes from time to time with my mom and dad, of course, and then spends time with them. I mean, they're people that she's always had a lot of fun with, and I mean, how close can you really be when you're so far away? She talks about them definitely from time to time. Okay, so that was her question. And then Anam Chara, I don't know how you say that. Anam Chara. So she would love to know if I have any recommendations for raising bilingual children. She remembers that I speak both German and English to Elodie. Does she ever get confused? Does she have a favorite language? She's worried that it might confuse her child with the bilingual speaking and that they might pick up their accents. Okay, so the kita that Elodie goes to is a German-speaking kita. They don't learn English until they go into school. So when she is, I think maybe when they're 5 years old, is when she will learn that. So when Elodie was first born, I actually only spoke to her in German. And I did this because I really wanted her to, I knew she was going to this German school, and I really wanted her to communicate with the children and with the teachers there. So that was really important. I did not want her to go there and be speaking with the children in German or in English and have the teachers not understanding her and the children not understanding her, because especially from me working in even the bilingual school that I worked in, so I would say none of my kids in the class could speak English. And one of the children who came spoke just English and French, and he was a really amazing kid, but he was completely left out because he couldn't speak German. And you could tell that it made him really sad because he was so fun. He had so many neat ideas. Had he been able to speak German, he would have gotten along perfectly well with these children. But he couldn't. He couldn't fit in. His mom ended up bringing him to a more English-speaking school here in Berlin because of that. Even though this school was supposed to be, for English and German-speaking children. But where Elodie goes, it is just German. There's no focus on English yet when they're this young. So I thought that was really important. So I started speaking to her in German until she was, I would say, maybe a year and a half. She started speaking very early. And now I always speak to her in English. So she just spoke in English at first, and she had never really heard English until she was Robert and I always speak in English together. So she heard that, and we're talking a lot. So she was surrounded by English. She just wasn't spoken to or, in English. Maybe from time to time, but basically always German. And then once I realized that her German was getting pretty good by a year and a half, I decided I'm going to only speak to her in English now. And I did, and she completely understands me. I would say she speaks in English maybe 40% of the time. Her preferred language is definitely German, but she never seems confused. She knows what words are English and she knows what words are German. And she sometimes, combines German and English together, but I don't think she's confused by it at all. She understands English. She understands that English is a language and these words are English, and she understands that German is a language and that German words are German. And I think it's worked out perfectly well for her. She does not seem confused at all by it. Like I said, while she prefers to speak in German because, she's in Kita during the day and everyone is speaking German to her, she's fine with speaking in English too and listening to me speak in English. And the fact that I started that at 1.5 years, I don't think is that big of a deal. And I don't know how I will do it with the new baby, if I will speak to her in German for a while and then do it in English. I think maybe because it worked so well this time that's maybe a good idea, but I don't know. I know it's very important for her to hear and be around German, especially since I will be home with her all day and Robert will be working. When Elodie was first born, he was gone a lot. So it was really important to me that she heard that German. And if she wouldn't hear it from him that much, she needed to hear it from me. So that's kind of how we went about that. And she definitely speaks English in a German accent, 100%. But I know as she gets older, she will have that perfect American sounding accent. when I say perfect, I mean she will sound like an American when she's speaking in English. I don't mean American is the perfect sounding accent, because I'm not a fan of most American accents. Okay. So Nina asks, I noticed that you wear a ring on your right hand. Someone actually already answered this, but this is my wedding ring here. It's totally a traditional German wedding ring. You do not normally have this big diamond as a ring here in Germany. You have more of a band. So Germans wear their rings on their right hand. So I'm married to a German. I live in Germany. I'm wearing my wedding ring on my right hand. So, and then this is just my engagement ring, and I always wear that on my left hand. And I took them off for a while, like I mentioned, because my fingers were really swollen. So then someone else, this is the last question I will ask. Someone else asks, I'm curious to know how long you've been podcasting. I heard it mentioned, I think from you, but may have been another podcast that you used to podcast with someone else. If this is true, what was the name of your podcast, and what happened to you to make you decide to do it alone? So that was asked by Blessed Mom of 3. Okay, so I had started doing a podcast with another host, Claire, probably, I think in September of 2013. We podcasted for, I think maybe 5 months together, and then we just realized that there was no way that the podcast was working. She lived too far away, and it was just too much of a hike to always get together every week for podcasting, is basically the gist of it. So then that's why we started podcasting separately. It's not that I said, okay, I need to podcast alone. Whatever. It just wasn't working. And the podcast was called Homespun. It wasn't called a Homespun House. It later formed into a Homespun House. If you watch my first episode of this podcast, it will explain, I think, all of that mostly. All right, so that is all of the questions that I will answer for today. You guys are always putting in new questions, and now is the time to ask. It's always fun to answer. I know I love learning about all of you and all of the podcasters that I watch. It's always fun when they do little questions and answers at the end that maybe don't always have to do with knitting. It's nice to hear about you, and because that's why we connect with certain podcasters. So it's sunny outside, which is amazing. It was sunny yesterday. The sun has just come out in the last 5 minutes, and I'm excited for that. It's 0 degrees Celsius, which means that it's 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And let's see what time it is. Oh my goodness, it's already noon. I'm going to make some delicious lunch because I'm a bit hungry. And then for dinner, oh my goodness. It's funny, when I think about my dinners, I kind of have to laugh because Dan and Kay from the Bakery Bears, well, Dan makes a joke at me about my sandwich, my chickpea sunflower sandwich that I made. I don't know if it was after my last podcast or the podcast before, but tonight I'm making some like a cauliflower based, instead of using rice or noodles, I'm using cauliflower and making it into rice. Then I'm making a delicious peanut soy tahini sauce with some marinated tofu that just bakes in the oven. Oh, it is delicious. We had it 2 weeks ago maybe and adored it. So I thought we have to have it tonight because we have some cauliflower and it definitely needs to be baked up. If you guys haven't checked out the webpage called The Minimalist Baker, it is my all-time favorite webpage for really delicious, healthy meals. And I have been making a lot of food from there because it's fun. I just really, really like it. I really enjoy the webpage. There are so many recipes, so many lovely substitutes of a lot healthier things that you can use. And I've just really been enjoying it. So that's what we'll have for dinner. For lunch, I think I will have a yummy whole wheat tortilla. I will heat up some kidney beans and add a little bit of Hirtenkäse inside of them, and maybe some corn, and I think that's probably it. I think that's what I will have for lunch because I love kidney beans. You have no idea. I love them. So I hope you all have a really, really nice weekend, a wonderful Valentine's Day, and I really look forward to seeing you next week. I really looked forward to the podcast this week. It's something that I totally am looking forward to most weeks, but this week it was a lot more than others. So I'm really happy to be chatting with you guys. Like I said, I hope you have a nice Valentine's Day, and I will see all of you next week.